Previously on Evolution on the Mic.
Season 3, The Journey to Success, Episode 5. Today, Episode 5, we will be interviewing Alicia Sanchez and taking a deep dive into her journey to success. She's the founder behind Dear God, Are We There Yet?, a nonprofit volunteer community. She also runs Felicita and Faustia, a studio shop inspired by her Dominican grandmas. She's all about helping families get savvy with their dinero on her blog, mamasdinero.com. She's a wife and a mom to a 4-year-old who's basically her CEO.
Every moment in my life that was like hard for me, whether it was change, I felt like that was shifting me into another step in my life. Like, you will lose faith. So then you have to remind yourself, like, what is the purpose? And that is where you come back and say, okay, I'm back on the journey, God.
It's time to evolve. Evolution on the mic, evolution on the mic. Here to unite, great minds and leaders of the future.
In your opinion, what would you say are the top 3 traits or skills that have been most instrumental and influential in your journey to success?
Number one, never stop learning. I will say, never stop learning. I am 40. I'm telling my age because I don't care. I'm 40 years old, and I know Afro Latino, it doesn't crack. But I learn something new every day, and it excites me. Like, I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything because times change. Never stop learning. The minute you stop learning about anything, it could be about yourself, it could be about anything. I mean, I have almost a 5-year-old, so she's always asking questions. So I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that, you know? But then myself, like when I am working, I do listen to podcasts. I listen to, when I'm reading, I might not read about like business stuff anymore just because I used to read so much business and self-help. I read like novels. I love novels. And then they'll mention certain things and then I'll go research the place like, oh, wow, what era was that? Like, never stop learning about anything. Take time in your day to learn about something. And I would say the next thing is like, ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. You know, I think for me, I've been consistent in like what I love because I know what I love and what I do. Like, I love marketing, I love business, I love it. I love crafts and creating. That's like, I love that. And I never stop asking questions to people like that I know that their experiences have been really different than mine. Does that make sense? Like, and being aligned with like just being around that and not being afraid to be in certain circles or taking risks, like just being who you are. And that was going to be the third thing that I was going to say, just being who you are as a person and not being afraid. Like, yeah, I could be too much. I could be extra. I don't care anymore. Why? Because that's just me. And that is the beautiful part. So never stop learning, take risks, ask questions, and be who you are because everybody else is taken. We hear that all the time, but really live through that.
So Alicia, like, just want to ask you like just 2 more questions. I know we've been, we've been talking, but can you share a significant learning experience from your journey to success that shaped your approach or perspective moving forward? Like, if you can share a significant learning experience from your journey to success.
Significant. I would have to say, I would have to say, like, with my nonprofit, Dear God, Are We There Yet? Oh gosh, having a nonprofit is in itself, there's not a lot of good people in that space. And hearing no hurts, that you're trying to make a positive change. So in the beginning, you guys mentioned about the nonprofit. So I'm a founder of a nonprofit called Dear God, Are We There Yet? We're a volunteer community. So we're literally like a matchmaking company, not company, but nonprofit where we match people with nonprofits so they can, through the power of volunteering. Because there's 2 things that nonprofits need. They need money and they need volunteers. And as a matter of fact, You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have manpower to actually physically help people or your time, then there's no point of the cause. So we match people to do that. And being around people in that nonprofit space who are just nasty, just mean, and just like, why are you doing this? Like, they're not doing it because they care about people. They're doing it because of status. They're doing it because of money. They're doing it because of Titrumundato's doing it, meaning like another person's doing it, so they want to say. And being in that space, that's a big learning experience, how to not let that emotionally change me, how I feel about humanity and how I feel about how people move and how I can still help people. And I think that moving through that and wishing them well, being angry, but also not losing hope in humanity, that there's still really good people in this world, regardless of that. And that is the major learning experience, that you might have a horrible experience with one person, but you can't generalize it for everyone. And then in the nonprofit world, I see that so much. I see so much hurt. I want to help everybody and I want to like make calls and do all this stuff. And I can't possibly do it alone. But what I can do is use that and try to inspire other people. And so other people are nasty and they're showing me their true colors. And I'm like, but you're in the nonprofit world. Like, you're supposed to be helping these people. Why are you doing this? Not using that energy for that and just saying, okay, what could I do? How can I change other people's perspective? So I think that is the number one learning, is that our experiences, we can't generalize them, because then that's how we move in our life, right? You have an experience with someone and that's it, you're done. You don't want to deal with anybody types like that. And you don't give anybody else a chance. You don't give any other opportunities a chance. And I think that's how I move in my life. When I don't have a great experience with something, I have to like say, okay, but this doesn't mean that everything is going to be like this, because a lot of people do that in this world. And I would say that that would be the main thing. Like, don't just judge one experience for everything, because then you won't be able to see those blessings. Like you said, you know, somebody's in your life and they say, oh, I'm going to help you. And then they're just gonna, you know, leave a bad experience. And then the next person who really wants to help you, or you're just like, no, I don't trust you. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you got to trust yourself and who you are. So I would say that that would be the biggest. I don't have like a pivotal one thing. I would just say that major teaching of like,
Yeah. No, and that kind of, I see it going into a lot of other things, right? So
Yeah.
like what came to me as you were talking about is like in business, you know, you get 100 no's, but you got to keep searching for that one yes. And as you're getting the no's, as things are not going right, people are nasty. People sometimes just use you, just want to pick your brain and not really work with you or do anything. They're just, you know, mooching over you. And, you know, you start seeing the like little like negatives and nastiness that it comes with trying to be a like an integrity driven business owner. And then you see other people that aren't really integrity driven, right? They're all about themselves. They're all about like, how can they make a quick buck, or how can they, you know, turn $1 into 10, but not make it in a way that it's really helping other people, right?
Yeah.
Like they're selling a product, but they're not really coming through with the results. So I can see that in so many different ways, how we can taint someone. If
Yes.
you like are not, you know, like in that faith or having that strong mindset of I'm not giving up, it can't taint you. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
start, when you want to generalize that every business owner, every person is just gonna be like that, and it's hard to get out of your own way. So that's what I hear from you, that it's like I've been learning that in this journey, like in this nonprofit, that my heart and soul and energy is all about really wanting to help and continue to build these bridges, you know, between the nonprofit and people that want to help, right? Because it's not always about money, like you say, you know what I mean? You don't have to be rich and famous to help. You know, so like what I'm saying is that is so true, but it sometimes can taint you when you're trying to do that and you're coming with the right intentions, but then you start to partner with people or get to talk to people, and it's like their mindset isn't there, their heart isn't there, their intentions isn't there, their integrity isn't there. You're like,
Yeah.
what in the world is going on here? Like, is it just me? Like, where are the people out there and the business owners or the opportunities that people just want to do the right thing, that people are
Yeah.
going to be with integrity, that they really want to see change,
I-
that they really want to help? And it breaks me into pieces, because like, even for me, I don't want to get emotional, but I've been coming across a lot of opportunities and people that don't have their heart in the right place.
No.
that just want to make a quick buck and make it in the way where it's like, don't worry about it. Just it's about the money. And
Yeah.
I'm like, just been praying like, God, like if you're testing me, whatever you're doing, just know that it's always going to be a hard no for me.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a hard no for me. I am never going to lose my integrity. I'm never going to lose, the good things that I'm really doing to try to help other people, to try to build other people, to help people transform their life, their mind, their heart. Just for a quick buck. It will not be me. It would never happen, but it's frustrating and it can taint you.
Absolutely.
So I hear you.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And you have to tell yourself, like, is it worth selling my soul? That's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I have instances where people ask me always about fashion and why I left and why all this. And I was like, because there were so many opportunities that people wanted me to sell my soul. No, literally sell my soul. And I didn't even know it was selling my soul until now, right? Because in hindsight, you look at it, but that's just not me, who I am. So I was like, nah, it didn't rub me right. But it's selling your soul if you think about it. It's saying, yeah, we could do this quick and blah, 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 but that's not who you are. So the minute you get tested with those experiences, you're just saying, okay, what can I teach these people? Use that as an opportunity to teach them why you said no. And I bet you that they're going to gain something from you. They're going to gain something. They're going to learn something. They're going to be like, but they're going to think about it later. Their subconscious, I promise you, they're going to have a little dream. And that subconscious is going to be like, well, why was she said no? And the way you say no, that conviction of like, no, because I believe this, and that. I see it in real estate all the time. I invest in real estate. And, when I'm buying properties or stuff, like even the last property I flipped or whatever, and somebody came with an offer and I was like, no, I'm sorry, I don't maneuver that way. I don't maneuver that way. You can, but it doesn't work for me. And just by that, there's just like, oh, like, oh, but I don't play with IRS and I don't play with immigration. I'm sorry. So, so use that. The next time that you go through that, use that.
Yeah, I think the big part that I keep hearing, and I'm going to keep coming back to this because I think it was one of the most important parts of this episode, is the mirror work you talked about. Everything both of you guys are talking about is cemented, and its foundation is set on understanding who you are.
Yes.
If you don't know who you are, if you have not made that connection with yourself, you can't have that type of integrity.
No.
You can't. You'll go and that was, and I'm speaking from my own experience, when I worked in large corporations, that was how I felt. Like I knew I was a cog in a wheel, but the voice that I believed in, what was my passion and where I wanted to fuel and give my energy, I wasn't able to do it in the way that I wanted to. And for so long, I felt like God kept saying, this is not where you need to be. This is not where you need to be. I got bigger plans for you. I got bigger plans for you. But I continued to sell my soul for the dollar because for me, that was what success looked like. It wasn't until I took a step back and I said, whoa, like God took me through and through, and I went through some rough times and still have my moments today where I'm going through tough times. And each time I'm realizing how all of what I created as my definition of success was so wrong because it was based on a false persona of myself. It wasn't until I awoke and we started reading some great books. Ariana had introduced Julian Gordon's book to us, and we started reading and feeding our minds something different. And we got closer in our walk with God, and we started building that relationship with God. And I started to say, I'm a man of God first, before anything else. I'm a man of God. Then everything else comes. Once I laid that as my foundation, it changed everything for my life. And yes, I'm not at a point yet where like I'm making even the equivalent of what I was making when I was in the corporate world. However, my soul, my spirit, my alignment, my joy is through the roof. And I know all of that's because I took the time to start to understand, well, who is Antoine? And this even came up recently in my real estate conversation because I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
Just meeting with my mentor the other day, and we were chatting, and I was sharing with her about some things I was doing. And she was saying to me, she's like, Antoine, one of the biggest mistakes I see in real estate is that people get too caught up in trying to make the sale or like to do the textbook stuff that they teach you in real estate. Like, oh, you got to get your pre-approval letter. Oh, you got to do this. And she says it's so off-putting to the client, to the customer, because they don't know you from Adam. And here you are trying to sell them a house. You got to build the relationship first. And you can't build a relationship if you don't know who you are, because you're trying to be someone you're not. You're trying to sell a house because you're looking at, Susie Q, and Susie Q did it this way, so I'm going to do it this way.
Yeah.
That's not your way. That's not your way. That's not the way God called you to do it. Your step may be that it takes 5 conversations before you even go out and show a house. But that's who you are. And every time you lead into that, you will achieve success because you're leaning into who you are, and you're following the blueprint that God created for you.
And your definition of success, because everyone's definition of success is different. And
Right.
and I think that was like one of the questions like people usually ask, and I always say your definition of success is going to change as you change and evolve. Because when I was younger, I thought it was 1, 2, 3. Now time is like the most valuable thing that I want. It's the most valuable thing. And so those opportunities, like, you're in real estate, you can see a lot of stuff. Oh my gosh, I see so much stuff. I'm just like, where are these people? And the stuff I see online too. My dad is kind of like my mentor in a sense. And I'll call him and he's straight up, he's like, this one I mean, like, that's crap. Like, don't talk to them. That men don't know what to talk about. And yeah, it might took me longer to even get my first property, but I felt so good about that. I felt good about how it went down. And my dad he said something to me. He said, when it's meant for you, it's going to come easy. And I said, are you sure, Poppy? Because real estate investing is not easy. He's like, no, Alicia, if it's meant for you, whatever property, and Ariana knows how my dad talks, it's going to be easy. And I'm telling you, that's exactly how it's been. Like every single time. And I don't even call him sometimes like, yeah, you were right. But anytime I have to do, I'm like, yeah, papi, he's like, ta fácil, tú, you see, it's easy. And I'm like, dang, you're right. Because it's meant for you. Because you're learning from something and you're not giving up who you are. And your definition of success is different, and I love that you said that, because it's like you need to be in control of whatever situation, because it needs to be coming from you. Not because you saw somebody on Instagram selling 5,000 houses in 24 hours, because that ain't be true sometimes, right? Right. And it's like you can't compare your journey to someone else, right? And you can't compare that because that's not who you are. And when you want to tap out, you're like, I'm tapping out, I'm moving on to the next thing. So yeah, I know I could talk a lot. I told you I'm a such.
No, you good. Ari, I know what you're about to say, because you've been saying stuff that we've talked about so much in this podcast. We keep having these moments where we will hear people say things that we've said, 3, 4, 5, even beginning when we first started talking about things in this podcast, and the alignment is eerie. But that part about ease, I had asked Ariana that question. I was like, Ari, like, how do we figure out like if it's meant for us? And she's like, Antoine, I'm telling you, when it's coming from God and it's meant for you, it's easy. She's like, anytime I start getting all these, like, I'm like, nope, that's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah.
So, oh man, Ari.
Yeah. When she said that, I was like, Antoine, you see, I told him the same thing. Because Antoine was doing like a few different ventures, and he was always like, but like, how do I know which one and which one not? And I said, Antoine, whenever something is for you and you're in alignment, it will be a flow. Not that it's not going to be easier or you're not going to go through tough times, but it's a flow, and you're going to feel it like this is a flow. Things are going in a certain natural order, and that's for you. But when there's chaos, when there's too much like destruction going on, and you're feeling like crap, and there's too much negativity of surrounding that thing. Sorry. What I always told Antoine, though, is sit with it before you completely come out of it. Pray and ask God. He will put in your heart. He will put in a dream. He will put in something, a number. I'm very big on a lot of those things. And you will know, you'll get your sign. But for me, a quick indicator that something is not for me is if it's not a flow. If it doesn't feel with ease. I know that I got to reevaluate. I have to pivot, and I don't mind pivoting. I don't mind starting somewhere today. And it's like, well, tomorrow I'm doing something else, because that's my path. I am building my relationship with God and where he wants me to go. And every day it might not be the same, but I had to sometimes maybe take that left turn because I was going to learn something to go back to the right. So I'm okay with that. I don't judge myself. I don't be like, God, but why I had to go through this or that? Because it's all a building block. But that thing that you said that your dad said, and you're following that, like I preach that too for myself.
And in real estate, real quick, if anybody's in the real estate, the math doesn't lie. Like, don't try to put 2 plus like 6, make it 3. No, the math doesn't lie. Literally, that will even make it even better for you. If the math doesn't lie, then you know you're good. Because sometimes we go through emotional when we make decisions. Like, make decisions not based on emotional. Always make it with your mind, because your emotional will kind of convince you that something's good or not, and then you won't be able to see if it's easy. Does that make sense? But
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that also takes the skill and learning and knowing what you're doing, to have the confidence to analyze the numbers and say, this is a good deal, is worth fighting for, or this ain't even really making sense, then, and this not even buy. And it's okay. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you see a deal or you love the property, or you're like, oh, I love the area. And it's like, you know, you just get stuck on that. You can get just stuck on certain things, you know? And it's like, no, it's not about that. It's not emotional. Not with business. You know, I'm realizing no emotions, mama. You got to put some logic into it too. Because I'm like, I got to feel it. But no, I'm slowly learning. Like, yes, feeling it is one thing and it's good. But you also have to have some brain cells and put things together. And, you know, a lot of it is math when it comes to having a business, because it has to make sense. The numbers ain't making sense, and anything that you're doing gotta go. It ain't worth it. I ain't wasting my time, you know? So that's definitely, Alicia, our last questions for you. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I know that's a tough question. You know what I mean? You're probably like, girl, I'm not even thinking about a marble. I ain't even thinking about what I'm eating after this call. But, you know, like, what is it that, like, if you can just your perfect vision of what you would like if you can maybe just do some visual affirmations of your heart right now, like, where would that be for you? Like, what would make Alicia Sanchez feel like she's on top of the world in 5 years from now? And what would that be? What would that look like?
I want to be a gazillionaire with time. Punto. I want to be a gazillionaire with time. I want to be able to literally, like, see my daughter grow up, you know, and just time. I said it before, like, it's the most valuable thing. When you equal the time to anything else, I will pick time all day. And I think as a mom, this question probably would have answered it way differently before, but as a mom, you're living life all over again through a child. Like, or as a parent, because Antoine, I mean, you can see your daughter and you're living life through their eyes all over again. So I'm 5 years old, 4 years old, all over again. And I play with Barbies. I love Barbies. So I literally play on the floor with Barbies. And in that moment, I'm like, gosh, I'm having so much fun. Like, this is literally fun, because I'm a big kid. And I'm like, I want more of this. And I think that, like, that's all I want, to be honest with you. I want to be able to, I'm trying to set up my life in a way where I can welcome more time, and in that financial freedom to be able to say, I don't need this. I don't have to say yes to this because I have more time. So that's honestly what I want. And then somewhere, you know, with I don't know, somewhere in another country, relaxing, drinking, eating, because, you know, I love food. But yeah, that's basically it. Time.
Yeah, having that freedom is everything.
Freedom is
You know,
everything.
getting away from the rat race, and just, you know, putting in time to get, you know, money. Like, you know, definitely having that freedom is very important in life. And that's, to me, like, the true, like, meaning of success is that time freedom. And, you know, being able to have everything that you can ever possibly want and need, where you can make a contribution to the world, right? Because you have the time, because you have the resources, because you worked towards that. You know what I mean? Because I think, like, if things just fall on my lap, I'm not going to appreciate it. Like, I like the grind of having to, like, build something for myself and then say, this is what I did. This is my legacy. Like, you know, I built this myself and I've been able to give back. You know, I think that's where you're kind of leading into in this conversation of what you will see yourself, what you would love to have. And I think that's beautiful.
I want to ask you both a question. I don't know if I'm allowed to. I don't know if anybody's
ever. No, nobody has ever asked a question, but I love it.
Yeah. So when I have my podcast, I always, for Dear God Over There, I always asked my guest a question. And I want to ask you, because I feel like this question is like something that can inspire people to think about what it means to them. So I want to know, what is your superpower? What is your superpower? Like, we know that, like, we're meant in this life for something. What is your superpower, and how are you using it in the world? Or how do you want to use it?
Yeah, I mean, I think my superpower in life has been my intuition. I think that I feel things and I know and I follow it. And of course, you know, God being in all of that. But it's literally my whole life, my whole buildup of my life has been one big old story. And I am very transparent, authentic, open about that story. And I don't have any problem, no shame in telling people, because I want to inspire other people through my journey. You know, having an open heart, like following me, following my intuition, like gauging things. And I don't always get it right, but you know, just in that, you know, aspiring for that. So I think, like, you know, my superpower has been my heart, myself, my life, sharing my life, and wanting my life to be one big old inspiration for other people to model, you know, everything that I've been to, and to kind of get cues for their life. Well, you know, Ariana went through this, so that's normal. Like, you know, even in my journey as an entrepreneur, like sharing the downs, sharing the fears, sharing the struggles. I want every piece of my life, every chapter of my life to be on blast for everyone to get something out of it for themselves. So I will say that for me.
All right. All right, Mentor's Way.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
And that's exactly what that's going to lead to, is my
Yes.
superpower is Mentor's Way and inspiring, you know, youth and adults to reach their potential.
Yes. I love that. How about you, Antoine?
Yeah, I mean it's a great question. When I think of superpower, I think of what is it that makes you unique and make others around you grow, or make others around you feel better, or just bring some type of elevation to their life. And I think for me, it's always been something around communication and compassion. I have a great way of communicating and connecting with people. It's always been who I've been since I was young. Always talking with people, always getting to know people's story and learning about people. And I've always been put in these positions where I've been able to develop a sense of compassion in working with people in different ways, whether that be like I meet someone and they're just at a very tough place in their life. And
Mm.
through our conversations and our talking and connecting and my inspiration and pouring into them and them also pouring back into me, we've built a symbiotic relationship where they see something bigger and larger in themselves than they have.
I
That's
love
been a lot of where I've spent my life, and some of the most influential relationships I've had that meant the most in my life started like that, where we
that.
just kind of met at a place and they were at one place, I was at another place, and together we cultivated a relationship that allowed them to grow as well as me to grow in that experience. And so for me, I'd definitely say my superpower is that connection and compassion with others, and just coming from a place of love. And I struggle with it. And this is why I love what you said about identity, is because I think at times I've felt that was a bit of a weakness for me as I look at other people. Like Ariana had mentioned in early parts of the podcast, we were talking. She's like, Antoine, I've watched you and you try to do so much for everyone, and you're here and you're there and you got your hands in so many places. And that's always been who I am, because I want to help. I want to be a support. Like, I will be your biggest champion, biggest cheerleader. If I see you doing something amazing, I will be screaming from the mountaintop, yo, you need to go check out my homie. They killing it out here.
Love that.
I love that, because I believe we're all placed on this earth to be our biggest cheerleaders for each other. We're a human race that is all together and we're navigating this crazy world together. Why not cheer on the next person beside you? And so for so long, I saw that as a weakness, because I would do that and wouldn't always work out like I thought it would. People would do me dirty. Things would just happen that would taint, like we were saying before, would taint my understanding of that power of myself. But what I've learned over the past few months and even over the past couple of years is that vulnerability is a superpower. And being in that vulnerable place and being susceptible to the fact that I love, my heart's big, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And sometimes, yeah, my heart gets hurt. But the love that God has for me transcends all that. So the people, them in their flesh, may hurt me here, but God's love fills me up. They may have created a void in my life by hurting me, but God's love has filled that void. And the more I've leaned into that, the more I want to continue to embrace this superpower of connection and communication and love and helping others and being a champion for others as well, because I believe that we don't have enough of that in this world. So
I love that. Oh, you guys had such great responses.
Yeah, that was really great, Antoine. And definitely thank you, Alicia, for asking the questions. And for being here, Alicia. We're definitely like so appreciative. This was an amazing conversation. And it was so real, so raw, so authentic, so emotional. So like, I just really, felt the connection. And I'm sure that everyone watching can also feel and sense the realness of what we're talking about, and the impact that we can have in our lives, man, when we just lean into God, lean into ourselves, and lean into others, like we always say in our podcast. So guys, as usual, if you have any thoughts, comments, or anything that you would like to share, we love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. And with that, thank you for tuning in, and until our next episode. Always remember that having faith in God, having faith in yourself, and having faith in others will create the evolution that you are seeking.